Area 314. Area 314 is basically where the Foundation keeps the most dangerous anomaly of all, the budget. Hidden behind an Arctic research warehouse in Canada, Area 314 is headquarters of the Foundation's accounting department. Because running secret laboratories, private armies, and several thousand containment cells apparently costs a few bucks. Who would have thought, right? So over 1,000 employees here have one job: keep the Foundation from going broke. And because normal investing would be way too easy, they research anomalous ways of making money. The facility can hold over 5,000 anomalies, while supercomputers and artificial intelligences crunch the numbers and monitor both normal and anomalous economies, which leads to some truly stupid financial assets. One is a collection of coins, where another coin appears every time you count them. Another is a bunch of bottle caps that everyone nearby believes are legal money, although nobody can agree on how much they're actually worth. So basically, crypto. They even own a boxing ring where nobody can win. Naturally, the Foundation opened it to the public and started taking high-stakes bets. And my personal favorite, anomalous garden eels, sometimes appear in public aquariums. Feed one, and it'll disappear underground before coming back with an ancient Persian coin. Meaning somewhere at Area 314, a trained accountant had to explain why magic eel money belongs on the balance sheet. And that's basically the job here. Find weird shit that makes money, figure out how to profit from it, then use that money to fund everyone else's weird shit. Survival chance? 95%. Honestly, the SCPs aren't the scary part here. It's being asked to explain a $40 million miscellaneous expenses charge to accounting. Area 14. Area 14 is where the Foundation keeps biological anomalies that have moved beyond put it in a cage and into maybe bring the tank. Hidden inside Mount Abraxas in Nevada, the facility actually started life as a silver mine in the 1800s. Then miners uncovered something anomalous. People started dying. And naturally, the Foundation's predecessors looked at the place and thought, perfect. Keep using it. That worked great until 1931, when a massive breach forced them to abandon the whole thing. Almost 50 years later, an injured climber stumbled out of the mountains, claiming he'd been attacked by a man-eating ogre. Ridiculous. Anyway, the ogre was real. His name is Fernand, a massive cannibal who likes challenging travelers to riddles before potentially eating them. Shooting him didn't work particularly well, so the Foundation tried something smarter instead. A folklore specialist challenged the ogre to riddles, beat him, and somehow convinced the giant cannibal to come quietly. With Fernand contained, the Foundation reopened Area 14, this time specifically for massive, dangerous biological anomalies. So the mountain was expanded with huge containment chambers, reinforced tunnels, and even dedicated livestock routes for feeding things you really don't want getting hangry. And let's just say SCP-058 proved why. It's a cow-sized heart covered in tentacles that once escaped, destroyed part of a nearby town, and killed more than 24 members of a mobile task force. After that, the Foundation decided maybe the area needed slightly more security. So now, they keep up to 28 cows ready for feeding, complete with a dedicated tunnel, nicknamed the Moo Chute. And if feeding time goes really wrong, MTF News 7 is stationed nearby with armored vehicles, aircraft, heavy weapons, and thousands of personnel. Survival chance? 38%. I'd tell you to follow your heart, but at Area 14, that advice isn't great. Area 32. Ever wondered where the Foundation puts an SCP when far away from civilization still isn't far enough? Apparently, it's the moon. In 1992, the Foundation discovered that SCP-120, a children's paddling pool that teleports people, has 11 destinations, and number 9 drops you directly onto Mare Imbrium. So after spending an ungodly amount of money, they built a small lunar outpost around the landing point. At first, it was basically just a really expensive archive. Then the Foundation started finding anomalies on the moon itself. Some couldn't easily be moved, while others were actually safer to contain outside Earth's atmosphere. Small problem. Their moon base wasn't built to contain anything. So in 1998, they expanded it into Lunar Area 32, a facility mostly hidden beneath the lunar surface, built to research lunar anomalies and contain things you really don't want anywhere near Earth. And being on the moon does give containment one stellar advantage. Each containment chamber can be isolated, and if something starts acting up, the entire contents can literally be yeeted onto the lunar surface. But living there is its own problem. Only around 40 people staff the entire facility, and apparently people keep bouncing around in low gravity and smashing their heads badly enough that the director specifically tells newcomers to bring their own helmet. Oh, and according to the official staff list, Area 32 has 0 maintenance or janitorial workers. So they built an SCP facility on the fricking moon, but a janitor was apparently outside the budget. Survival chance, 71%. One small step for man, one extra problem for the Foundation. Area 12, Area 12 is where the Foundation keeps things that are technically animals, plants, and diseases, though the word technically is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. Built in 1972 in Sugar Grove, West Virginia, the facility is hidden inside a mountain beneath the National Radio Quiet Zone. The Foundation controls roughly 34,000 square kilometers around the facility, which is surrounded by 15 surveillance outposts, just in case Reddit gets any hashtag StormMaria12 ideas. Inside, nearly 1,000 people basically run a giant hospital, laboratory, and zoo for anomalous life. Researchers study weird biology and diseases, doctors actually operate on injured anomalies, and one department specializes in figuring out how to communicate with creatures that speak through things like scent, seismic vibrations, or whatever the hell reversed upside-down time-traveling semiohazards are. But honestly, some creatures here are super cute. SCP-2584 is a species of snake with no head or tail because its body forms one continuous loop. It's basically a living snake donut, or a snake eating its own ass. Depends on how professional we're being. But yeah, the site really peaked here, because others are much less freaky. I mean, a 22-foot snake with 48 legs and custom-made shoes? Super boring, right? Anyway, with all those goofers around, containment breaches can get messy pretty fast. In 2005, one escaped organism started breeding inside old maintenance pipes. The colony eventually got so big that it burst through them and collapsed part of another creature's enclosure. One specimen then used the chaos to pull a Houdini, only to be found 6 years later, 800 kilometers away. So after that little embarrassment, the Foundation came up with the ultimate containment upgrade: explosives. Lots of them. Because apparently containment gets much easier once the containment facility no longer exists. Survival chance? 68%. They say West Virginia is almost heaven, right? Well, if containment fails, it could be. Area 21. Area 21 is basically where all the Foundation's weird shit ends up. And for once, I mean that pretty literally. Hidden underneath an abandoned chemical facility in Vienna, Area 21 became the department responsible for safely disposing of anomalous waste. Think chemicals, contaminated materials, weird biological leftovers. Basically everything where another department looks at something and says, "I'm not touching that shit." These poor bastards get it. And yes, sometimes that goes about as well as you'd expect. During one incident, Area 21 was trying to dispose of anomalous mustard gas, originally developed for World War I. Unfortunately, while Area 21 was disposing of it, the gas ate through containment and flooded the facility. And while everyone climbed onto raised platforms while ventilation cleared the room, a giant orange tentacle appeared in the gas. This was SCP-6643, nicknamed Verne, which has since developed a habit of appearing whenever anomalous waste escapes. Sometimes it's huge. Sometimes it's literally microscopic. Nobody knows whether it's helping, sabotaging them, or just showing up to watch someone get fired, and Area 21 gives it plenty to watch. In 2002, one project involving a modified B-52 exploded, killing almost everyone working on it. Then in 2022, things somehow got shittier. A random cult secretly replaced almost the entire Area 21 staff, murdered the originals, and used the facility's own waste systems to dispose of their bodies. MTF Nu 7 eventually stormed Area 21 and killed 112 imposters, which means Area 21 successfully disposed of anomalous waste, chemical weapons, failed experiments, and eventually its own employees. But yeah, shit happens, right? Survival chance? 64%. Remember, if it's brown, flush it down. If it grows a face, evacuate the place. Area 09. Area 09 is basically where the Foundation figures out how to fight things. It has no idea how to fight yet. Hidden near Duckwater, Nevada, it's home to ETTRA, a department that studies new anomalous threats posed by hostile groups of interest. They develop countermeasures and work alongside task forces whenever the problem needs more than another reinforced box. So when someone else starts weaponizing anomalies, these are the people expected to come up with Plan B. And sometimes, Plan B gets mad weird. One major operation involved an entity known only as Him, which had influence over another reality filled with giant creatures called the Unclean. Area 09 helped organize a team to investigate the threat, figure out who could safely enter that reality, and eventually sent Alpha 9 to Site 91 to pick up some anomalous weapons. Apparently, those weapons belong to Lord Blackwood, who is a talking slug. So yes, the Foundation's emergency weapons dealer is an actual snail. Area 09 has also dealt with threats spreading across multiple Foundation facilities. During one incident, an anomalous meme could literally reverse the properties of whatever appeared in it. ETTRA eventually helped develop a counter meme to stop it, and that's basically Area 09. Study what the enemy is doing, figure out how to counter it, then give the Foundation something capable of fighting back. Survival chance? 47%. Never bring a knife to a gunfight. Just bring a slug instead. Area 27. Area 27 is for those rare Foundation emergencies where you need a scientist, a heavily armed task force, and Father Steve. Hidden underneath the Notre Dame Cathedral Basilica in Ottawa is the headquarters for the Department of Tactical Theology, the people who study religious anomalies, develop theological weapons, and figure out how to contain or kill divine entities. And this place is prepared as hell. Underground, there are research labs, anomalous weapons storage, blessed water silos, a temple, apiaries, and an omniscience concealed bunker, which is literally a bunker designed to hide you from things that know everything. Area 27 can also support 2,000 people during an apocalypse, because apparently, when Judgment Day comes, Ottawa made the shortlist. But some of their best protection comes from SCP 5993. It's a group of anomalous bees living inside a dead theologian's chest. Apparently, their honey absorbs the religious energy that lets divine entities influence people. So everyone transferred to Area 27 has to eat a dose, which protects them for roughly a year, which makes orientation basically, here's your badge, here's your desk, and please eat the anti-God honey. God bless HR, right? Anyway, let's just say they really need it. In 2014, theological containment suddenly became weaker across the entire northern hemisphere. For 14 hours, religious anomalies started breaking loose, resulting in 45 containment breaches and a lot of dead people, which explains why Area 27 doesn't just research gods. Most anomalies kept here are specifically chosen because they could be useful during a major divine crisis, while tactical theology personnel are sent elsewhere to help capture and neutralize religious threats. And if everything really goes to hell, Area 27 becomes an underground shelter for surviving the apocalypse. Survival chance? 58%. Turns out thoughts and prayers work considerably better when the prayers are weaponized. Area 179. Area 179 was originally built because the Foundation found a fire demon underground and decided, well, we're already here. Might as well build an office. The entity in question is SCP-1179, a hostile humanoid first documented as a 30-meter-tall figure made of volcanic rock, complete with horns, a sword, and a whip. For years, it appeared to be dormant, until an underground fire reached it. The demon woke up, killed everyone at the nearby research site, and disappeared into the mines beneath the region. And finding it again hasn't exactly been easy. It can change shape and even become invisible or completely formless. Luckily, you can smell it coming instead, since it reeks of rotten eggs and old chimneys. So if you smell ass underground, don't blame Gary. Run! Anyway, 5 separate expeditions tried to capture the demon, and none succeeded. So yeah, a real pain in the ass indeed. Fortunately for everyone above ground, SCP-1179 mostly stays within roughly 2 kilometers of where it was discovered, and since the Foundation couldn't contain the creature, they decided to contain the entire area instead. Civilians were moved out, the ongoing fires were passed off as a normal underground coal fire, and a bunker was built in one of the few geologically stable parts of Area 179, so the Foundation could keep monitoring the thing. And once they had all that empty land anyway, they did what they do best. They filled it with SCPs. Today, the area stores and researches anomalous objects recovered around the region, including SCP-6599, an internet troll called Hogslice, who insults people online and then physically shows up to beat the shit out of them. So yeah, Area 179 somehow went from underground fire demon to getting cyberbullied in person. Survival chance? 55%. Remember, if Gary actually did fart, he's getting left behind. Site 13. Site 13 currently houses anomalous toys that occasionally kill children. Yeah, tragic, whatever. But nobody tells you there used to be another Site 13, the one that vanished, came back ruined, and had one question scrawled in blood across every surface. What happened to Site 13? Here's what happened. The original Site 13 was supposed to be built near Nome, Alaska, a mega facility for the Foundation's worst anomalies. But official records say it was never completed. They scrapped it for Site 19 instead. Case closed, right? Wrong. Because in 2004, Site 13 showed up anyway, 15 kilometers from the US-Mexico border in Texas. Exploration teams pulled up expecting dust and nothingness. But nope, this place was still on fire. Like, literally. Flames were burning after years of abandonment. Gas leaks everywhere. And the walls? Covered in messages like danger, death here, and, my personal favorite, subscribe or else. The deeper they went, the worse it got. 15 basement levels, all used for containment. Except nothing was contained anymore. Instead, it was all blood, busted doors, and corpses leaking out their ear holes. One log even mentioned something crawling inside people and making them bleed from places no one wants to bleed from. Turns out Site 13 wasn't just a containment facility. It became a dumping ground for the Foundation's darkest secrets. They even built an incinerator to burn people they didn't like, which was one of their better ideas, honestly. Then, it all went to hell. There was a massive containment breach. The Foundation tried to nuke it, but the nuke didn't respond. So they activated Thresher Protocol, a reality anchor meant to stabilize dimensions. But instead of exploding, Site-13 got displaced, ripped out of reality, and dropped between dimensions. When it came back, everything inside was dead, or worse than dead. Anyway, the site's classified as neutralized now. But the logs are still there. The blood's still on the walls, and somewhere between realities, the original Site-13 is still asking, what happened to Site-13? Survival rate, 0%. Don't ask questions you don't want answered. Site-19. Site-19 is the Foundation's biggest facility, home to hundreds of SCPs, and it's blown up more times than anyone wants to admit. You know how every organization has that one location where everything important ends up? Site-19 is that place. It's the Foundation's catch-all headquarters, basically the dumping ground for anomalies other sites don't want to deal with. By far, the largest containment and research facility in existence, this place houses hundreds of safe and Euclid-class anomalies, plus a few Keters under heavy restrictions. But calling it just a prison doesn't do it justice. Site-19 is a research hub, logistical center, and the operational backbone of the entire organization. So what's actually inside? It's D. And who is D, you might ask? D's nuts. You know, SCP-173? That peanut who likes cracking other people's nuts? He's housed alongside iconic SCPs like the Plague Doctor, who cures by killing, and those little iPods that won't stop staring. Obviously, containing all this chaos requires a massive compound. Site-19 isn't one building. It's a cluster of containment sectors with multiple wings and sublevels. Thousands of staff work there, and security includes armed response teams, automated lockdowns, and internal MTFs. So, with all that security, it's embarrassing to say that incidents happen more often than not. Take NER Storm Site-19, for example. When internet trolls jokingly planned to storm Site-19 like Area 51, the Foundation panicked, mobilized task forces, and dropped millions prepping for a siege. Nobody showed up. Absolutely mortifying, if you ask me. Then, there's the Halloween breach, where staff threw a party and multiple SCPs escaped mid-celebration. And yes, there's even an incident report literally titled How Site-19 Blew Up, because cascading containment failures almost destroyed the entire facility. So when I said it's blown up more times than anyone wants to admit, I wasn't joking. Survival rate, 60%. Higher if you remember safe doesn't mean harmless. Site-43. Unlike other Foundation sites, which focus on capturing anomalies, Site-43 focuses on what happens after. Specifically, what happens after those anomalies puke, melt, bleed, scream, or worst of all, take a shit. Site-43 specializes in achromatic abatement, processing esoteric effluents, which sounds super cool, but it's actually just the Foundation's waste management site. To make things worse, Site-43 is right next to Nexus 94, a magical hotspot that constantly spawns new weird stuff weekly. So containment here looks quite different. You see, they don't always contain, they adapt. For example, there's a mirror entity that follows staff home like a creepy stalker. Can't contain it, so they just track it. There's also a lake full of panther chimeras, mutant big cats that shouldn't exist. Solution? Monitor the lake and put up no swimming signs. Problem solved. But here's where it gets extra shitty. Every September 8th, Site-43 replays a containment breach from 2002. It's classified as SCP-5243. An unknown anomaly, possibly a ghost, leaked ectoplasm into the waste system, triggered a criticality event, and broke time itself. Now the entire facility reverts to its 2002 layout for 7 minutes. The waste processing facility explodes. Staff die in extremely specific ways. One guy gets turned inside out while still alive. Oh, and another gets dragged into a waste pool by orange tentacles. But if the Foundation prevents even one death, reality restructures and everyone at the site dies permanently. So containment protocol is simple. Let it happen exactly as before, or risk erasing the entire timeline. I'm serious. Dying to maintain temporal stability is an actual job requirement written into their contracts. Survival rate? 60%. 0% on September 8th if your name's on the list. Site-41. Site-41 is where the Foundation keeps everything you're not supposed to know, can't remember, or literally can't describe without your brain crashing like a 2006 laptop. It's the headquarters of the Anti-Memetics division, also known as the people who deal with stuff that actively hides itself from your perception. It's supposedly located in central Colorado, but nobody knows for sure since the Foundation keeps accidentally reusing the name Site-41 for random locations, like the gas station around the corner or buildings that don't even exist. One theory is that the name itself might be anti-memetic, or maybe someone just kept reusing the file template. Both seem equally likely. The facility handles research, training, and containment of anomalies that make your brain give up. Take SCP-055, an entity so forgettable that the second you look away, every detail vanishes from your mind. Researchers love it because meetings stay mercifully short. They're always like, "What were we discussing? No idea, let's get lunch." Then there's the Case Colorless Green incident, a Foundation operation where staff deployed against a threat, fought bravely, and then couldn't remember what they'd been fighting. So excellent work, everyone, I guess. So now, staff compensate with amnestic drugs, basically mental seatbelts that help you remember things you shouldn't be able to forget. Standard containment here involves redundant documentation, daily memory audits, and writing, "Remember this," on everything. Yes, even on coffee machines. But the site's biggest recurring crisis is employees showing up to work and genuinely not knowing why. But hey, at least the work benefits are unforgettable. Survival rate? 40%. Higher if... Wait, what was I talking about exactly? Site 15. Site 15 is the only tech facility where "did you try unplugging it?" is actually considered an optimistic containment strategy. This is the Foundation's tech quarantine zone, basically a prison for anything that runs on electricity, code, or pure digital rage. So while other sites handle anomalous artifacts or humanoid entities, Site 15 handles anything that can boot up, hack back, or escalate from a harmless glitch to a regional infrastructure meltdown because someone forgot to unplug it. It's located in Santa Clara Valley, California, blending perfectly into Silicon Valley office parks. Most people assume it's just another startup where tech bros pitch investors on an app that's Uber, but for staplers, while sipping on $7 matches. But inside, it's a high-security IT nightmare with fewer beanbags and significantly more electromagnetic shielding, which is absolutely necessary, by the way, since some anomalies like to escape via Wi-Fi. Site 15 also runs the Foundation's IT department and Artificial Intelligence Applications Division. Their job? Creating AI assistants that manage databases, follow orders, and hopefully don't decide that killing humans is more efficient than correcting your dumb emails. It contains hits like SCP-079, a cranky old AI that has never once updated its personality, and SCP-6279, which made half the Foundation's files unreadable for no other reason than shits and giggles. Honestly, you'd think the people preventing tech disasters would experience fewer tech disasters, but instead, Site 15's incident reports read like a bug report, written by someone having a mental breakdown. One of them starts with, "System glitch caused minor data corruption," and ends with, "Entire site in lockdown, 4 missing. One now exists only as a .zip file. Survival rate? 65%. Lower if you fall for phishing emails." Site 01. Site 01 is the Foundation's no-fun zone, which basically means it's the only facility where anomalies are absolutely not allowed, not even the cute ones. Because if Site 01 goes down, everything else collapses like dominoes. While other sites juggle containment breaches, conduct risky experiments, or improvise solutions to cursed objects, Site 01 exists for one purpose: protect the Foundation's top dogs, the most sensitive data, and whatever last resort plan they've been hiding in a drawer since 1954. Its location? Strictly classified. Even most Foundation personnel don't know where it is. Why? Because Site 01 is where the O5 Council meets, the 13 people who run the entire Foundation. But if I had to guess, Ohio. Because only in Ohio would you hide the world's most important secret facility and still have it mistaken for a gas station. Inside Site 01, it's all clean corridors, admin sectors, and airtight security. No containment cells, no musty crocodile screaming in acid, just spreadsheets, surveillance, and the council making decisions that affect the fate of existence. Anyway, security is not that much, honestly. Just hundreds of agents, multiple assistant directors, and a surveillance network so intense you can't sneeze without it going on a report, which makes sense since Site 01's entire purpose is stability. If every other site burns down, this one stays standing long enough to figure out what the Foundation does next. It's the backup plan for the backup plan. Survival rate? 95%. Mostly because the only thing that will kill you here is boredom. Site 17. Site 17 is the Foundation's second largest facility, where the motto is, "We can't kill them, so we'll just give them therapy." Their main job is holding and studying humanoid SCPs that are considered low risk. So it's basically a minimum security hotel for SCPs that walk, talk, and occasionally disembowel staff, but like nicely. And I know it doesn't exactly sound like vacation vibes, but it's definitely more comfortable than being shoved in an acid bath. Though to be fair, containing people is way harder than containing monsters. You can't exactly negotiate with a piece of snot. But people? They talk, bargain, and occasionally charm guards into better privileges. Residents are therefore placed on containment protocol tiers. At the bottom are anomalies kept in full containment, minimal interaction, minimal privileges, and therapy through reinforced glass. Higher tiers get conditional privileges like supervised walks if they consistently don't murder anyone. The highest tier? Cooperative humanoids. These SCPs assist research, help staff, and in rare cases, are allowed semi-independent movement. And then there are a few anomalies who are permanently sedated, because waking them up would end the site in under 10 minutes. Funny enough is that Site 17 has one of the lowest casualty rates in the Foundation. Why? Because when you treat humanoids like patients instead of threats, they're less likely to go bananas. Take SCP-073, Biblical Cain himself, who freely walks around helping staff despite killing every plant within 20 meters. The solution: keep fake plans everywhere. Or take SCP-343, who claims to be literal God. Guards literally abandon their posts just to chat with him because charisma somehow beats workplace protocol. Survival rate? 70%. Lower if you're a plant. Site 98. This site might be the only Foundation facility where absorbing an SCP during an experiment is considered a great career move. Located in Philadelphia and disguised as a NASA manufacturing complex, Site 98 has a reputation no other Foundation facility can match. While most sites just try not to die, Site 98's whole thing is reverse engineering physics, so the universe doesn't spontaneously collapse next Sunday. The heart of the operation is Sector B, where the Department of Extra-Dimensional Anomalies develops tech with names like Scranton Reality Anchors and Kant Counters. Sounds complicated, I know. But here's what they actually do. They measure and stabilize Hume levels, basically how real a location is. When an anomaly starts bending physics or rewriting matter, Hume levels spike or crash. Then there's Sector C, where they contain Keter-class threats like SCP-2009, which are hostile extra-dimensional soldiers who keep breaking through unstable rifts. To contain them, this sector uses layered barriers and prays. They don't learn to bypass them. However, Site 98 is not only famous for its SCPs, but also for its Class E personnel, staff who became anomalous on the job and just kept working. Take Dr. Evelyn Grail. She was running a physics experiment when she accidentally absorbed an SCP. The SCP died. Dr. Grail gained superhuman speed, a personal reality warping field, and a brain that processes information faster than any supercomputer on Earth. Most companies would fire you for that. Instead, the Foundation promoted her. Now she manages entire research divisions using her anomalous abilities and has been nominated to chair the Foundation's research committee. Seems like the American dream isn't dead after all. Survival rate, 75%. Higher if you read the safety manual. Lower if you consider becoming anomalous a career strategy. Site 95. If there's one site guaranteed to make your skin crawl, it's Site 95. And here's the fun part. That won't be the only thing crawling on you. Before it was a Foundation facility, Site 95 was a private estate owned by a wealthy family with the kind of hobby most billionaires eventually develop: occult rituals and demon worship. The place suffered from unexplained infestations and biological phenomena that made absolutely no sense, so the Foundation confiscated the property, cleaned up the summoning circles, and did what it always does when something is already problematic. They moved in. So what started as a small testing facility quietly became the headquarters of the Foundation's entomology, mycology, and botany departments, which basically means they deal with bugs, fungi, and plants that attack first and photosynthesize later. And let's just say the culture here is different. Staff proudly claim the site's unofficial motto is "Odd is to be expected," which sounds great until you realize odd includes prolonged exposure to two God-level anomalies tied to all fungal and insect life. Their arrival permanently reshaped Site 95's mission and at least one career trajectory. Take Dr. Leroy Chiton, a former director who is now half bug. Oh, and he's now also promoted. So, good for him, I guess. But for some reason, the staff here are surprisingly calm about all of it. And they kind of have to be because Site 95 is chronically underfunded and constantly overcrowded. Luckily, the Foundation compensated with an on-site staff retreat. Small problem. It's also the containment micro-ecosystem, so your mental health break might double as a feeding opportunity, and you're not the one being fed. Site 5. It all began with a simple technical issue. An anomaly started spamming the Foundation with references to a facility called Site 5 that didn't exist. Naturally, the response was standard: blame a system error, deploy a cleanup bot, and remind personnel that there is no Site 5. But references kept coming back. Eventually, someone followed them to their source: a man-made island off the coast of Japan. For some reason, every entrance had been welded shut with reinforced plating, as if someone had already gone inside and decided the correct response was to never open it again. Inside, the Foundation found an underground complex extending kilometers down, ending in a containment pit filled with thousands of fused human corpses. The bodies were burned, mildly radioactive, and affected by a cognitohazard that attacked memory and perception. Autopsies revealed the victims didn't die from radiation, but from rapid brain failure caused by prolonged exposure to the anomaly. Apparently, people who learned too much about the site felt compelled to go there, and people who went there never came back, adding to the mass below. Anyway, nobody knows when and why it was built. But what we do know is that during World War II, the Foundation used the island to dispose of anomalous waste, along with the forced laborers exposed to it. After the war, they buried the site, erased the records, and forgot it existed. But unfortunately, the dead remembered. So now, Site 5 keeps reappearing in Foundation documents, not to threaten them, but to be acknowledged. And every time the Foundation finds it again, they seal it, delete the files, and act surprised when it comes back. After all, denial is easier than accountability. Site 45, they say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, which is probably why the Foundation decided to build a containment site there, just to make sure it actually did stay in Vegas. I mean, if reality is going to misbehave somewhere, it might as well do it under neon lights and poor life decisions, right? So naturally, Site 45 became the Foundation's preferred destination for religious, mythological, and spiritually inconvenient objects. Think holy relics, cursed artifacts, and things that claim to be angels, demons, or gods. Not sure who came up with the idea of putting holy crap in Sin City, but it's dark humor, I guess. And by the way, Site 666, the Foundation facility that is kind of connected to actual hell, is just nearby, but that's a story for another day. Structurally, Site 45 is split into 3 connected locations. Site 45A is hidden somewhere in the city itself. Site 45B operates under the cover of a mental health facility, which honestly explains a lot. And Site 45C sits underground, where the Foundation keeps the things they don't want sunlight, witnesses, or lawsuits near. All 3 are connected by tunnels, because separating holy artifacts from Vegas nightlife would be irresponsible. And then there's Floor 24. It's an anomalous containment environment that has been turned into an endless maze of doorless rooms covered with paper. And as if being stuck in a maze isn't enough, it also contains paper sculptures that jump out of the walls to attack people. Oh, and not only will you die, but you will also become part of the exhibition. So yeah, only in Vegas, baby. Site 64. If you think Portland can't get any weirder, just wait until you hear about the Foundation site built there specifically to monitor how Portland can get even weirder. Located beneath Forest Park in Portland, Oregon, Site 64 exists for one reason: to contain whatever Portland keeps accidentally inventing. Anomalous art collectives, experimental tech, and reality-questioning humanoids, you name it. The site was founded in 1971 after Foundation agents infiltrating a music festival stumbled onto something they definitely weren't supposed to find: an entire anomalous city hiding in plain sight. But that's not the weirdest part, because somewhere in that puddle town was a portal to a pocket dimension, which contained portals to other Portlands, including ones in Maine and the UK. And because it's connected to 3 Portlands, the Foundation called it 3 Portlands. Very creative, I know, but to be fair, what else could they name it? Port-La-La-Land? I don't know, but what I do know is that many other Portlands are still on the waiting list, specifically the one in Australia and Iceland. Anyway, the Foundation decided to shove many local anomalous communities into the 3 Portlands, because managing one impossible city is easier than chasing weird basements across Oregon. By the late 70s, things finally calmed down, maybe a little too much, since Site 64 was downgraded to a glorified storage warehouse and quietly forgotten. But then, 2007 happened. That's when Anderson Robotics showed up, a company selling anomalous AI, reality-breaking hardware, and products that absolutely should not be allowed near Wi-Fi. Activity spiked overnight, mobile task forces moved in, and new anomalous electronics labs were built. And somehow, Site 64 went from forgotten to essential. Area 14. As far as hardcore Foundation facilities go, Area 14 is one of the most unhinged sites on record. Not just because it's absurdly overarmed, but because it exists exclusively to house anomalies that are extremely dangerous. Its history is also one of the bloodiest the Foundation has ever logged, which should tell you everything you need to know. Located inside Mount Abraxas in Nevada, Area 14 is where the Foundation sends large-scale threats, including a walking cow heart that once wiped out an entire town in minutes. The site itself started life as a silver mine in the 1870s, until the American Secure Containment Initiative took it over. That went great until 1931, when the ASCI had a whoopsie, jumped ship, and abandoned the place entirely. And so it stayed forgotten for decades, until a literal ogre moved in. That ogre was SCP-082, who decided the ruins made a nice lair and began eating hikers. The Foundation stepped in, but the ogre was too fat to be hauled into a truck. So they did the most sensible thing, rebuilt the entire facility around him and called it a day. Thus, Area 14 was officially reborn, but that's when the real trouble began. Because once Area 14 existed, it became the Foundation's go-to dumping ground for its worst catches. The 90s were a particularly bad time, so much so that they nicknamed the era the Bloody 90s. There were multiple breaches, countless deaths, and destruction everywhere. In response, the Foundation armed the site to the teeth, stationed Mobile Task Force Nu 7 on permanent standby, and installed a nuclear warhead underneath the mountain. Because if containment ever fails completely, Area 14 doesn't evacuate. It detonates. Site-07. Site-07 is also known as the site at the end of the world. Sounds ominous, right? But it fits perfectly, just not in the way you think. See, Site-07 doesn't just sit at the world's frozen bottom, or up, depending on how you hold the world map. It's called the end of the world because this is where things stop. Located 81 kilometers off the coast of Alaska in Norton Sound, Site-07 is where the Foundation hides its most dangerous anomaly, information itself. It's the headquarters of RISA, the Records, Archival, and Information Security Administration. If the Foundation knows something, Site-07 filed it, redacted it, encrypted it, and buried it under 6 layers of ice. The place runs Panopticon, which is basically the Foundation's global surveillance system. Think satellites, scrapers, and pattern recognition. Every anomalous whisper that hits a camera, form, or leaked document gets vacuumed up here before the public can notice. But unfortunately, the incident reports suggest otherwise. During Incident 07-Panopticon-Black, a corrupted archival loop caused thousands of suppressed SCP references to briefly re-enter public databases worldwide. Obviously, Reddit threads exploded, and conspiracy boards went absolutely feral. One civilian even reconstructed an entire SCP containment procedure, using nothing but metadata and insomnia. Luckily, RISA fixed it in 6 minutes. And let's just say, those 6 minutes triggered the largest amnestic deployment since Site-13 vanished. Anyway, only a few people know about Site-7's existence. Not that most people care, because it's extremely isolated and boring as hell. Site Theta. Remember Site-07, the so-called site at the end of the world? Well, apparently, there is a place the Foundation goes after the world ends, and it's known as Deus Ex Machina, meaning God from the machine. It's literally humanity's last resort when everything else fails. That is, if we still get the time to fix things up. Buried beneath Yellowstone National Park, Site Theta is a massive bunker designed to rebuild civilization from scratch. It has everything you'd expect from a post-apocalypse starter kit: air recycling, water treatment, hydroponic farms, housing for 10,000 people, and best of all, internet. Because what's the point of surviving if you can't post about it online? Anyway, power comes from a liquid fluoride thorium reactor that can run for 70 years, backed up by geothermal energy from the supervolcano above it. And to top it off, the facility houses thousands of copy machines that can produce 100,000 humans in a day. Just type in a resume date, and boom, humanity has been reinstalled. It's also built above the bloom, an anomalous flower capable of resetting reality itself under very specific, very unsettling conditions. It's their backup to the backup plan, apparently. But who built this site and when, nobody knows. Though human remains inside suggest it's been used before, like centuries ago, which explains why SCP-2000 isn't a plan. It's proof that this isn't the first time the world ended. Site-42. Site-42 is the Foundation's kindergarten or retirement home, depending on whether the anomaly throws tantrums or philosophical arguments. This is where sapient anomalies go. You know, the ones that can think, talk, form opinions, and cuss you out whenever they feel like it. Located in Seabreeze, North Carolina, Site-42 specializes in long-term containment of anomalous entities that can't just be locked in a box without consequences. You can't threaten something that understands contracts, ethics, or public perception. So instead of brute force, the Foundation tries something radical here: negotiation, routine, and the illusion of normal life. And that's where things get uncomfortable. Over time, Site-42 expanded until it wasn't just a facility anymore. It was the size of a small town, all carefully designed to keep sapient anomalies calm, cooperative, and ideally quiet. The problem is that real towns come with neighbors, and neighbors ask questions. Suddenly, Site-42 isn't just about containment anymore. It's about optics. Not because the Foundation suddenly cares about rights or ethics, but because talking anomalies are a PR nightmare waiting to happen. Some of them can persuade staff, others can influence civilians, and a few could spark movements just by telling their side of the story convincingly enough. Back in the day, Site 42 operated like any other black site. But once the Foundation went public, someone decided transparency was the solution. So yeah, at Site 42, the biggest threat isn't a breach, it's a conversation. Anti-Memetics Division. You work in the Anti-Memetics Division, which means your entire job is remembering things that do not want to be remembered. It's honestly the best department if you're irresponsible. If you ever miss a meeting, you can just say, "The meeting forgot me," and somehow that's a valid incident report. Anyway, this department handles anti-memes, anomalies that erase themselves from perception, memory, records, or all three. Because apparently being dangerous was not enough. They had to be annoying too. So, while normal containment starts with, "What are we dealing with?" Anti-memetic containment starts with, "Why did I walk into this room, and why is there blood on my sleeve?" So here's what a typical day here looks like. It may begin with a sticky note on your desk. "Do not enter conference room C." Except there is no conference room C. You check the site map, nothing. You check your calendar, nothing. Then someone walks out of conference room C and asks why you missed the meeting. Makes no sense, right? Just like it makes no sense you're not subscribed yet. Just saying. But yeah, you rely on amnestics, memory training, redundant files, handwritten notes, alarms, body cameras, and desperate messages from past you, who honestly seems more competent than present you. Oh, and half your reports begin with, "If you are reading this, believe yourself." Like, what the hell does that even mean? Then, by lunch, your notebook says, "We contained it." Great. Contained what? No idea. So yeah, the Anti-Memetics Division protects humanity from threats nobody can remember, document, or explain without immediately losing the plot. Wait, what was I talking about again? Anyway, survival chance, 40%. Higher if you leave notes. Lower if one says, "Nice try." Department of Mythology and Folkloristics. You work in the Department of Mythology and Folkloristics, which means every fairy tale, folk warning, urban legend, and "my grandma swore this happened" story is now your problem. This department studies anomalies rooted in myth, folklore, religion-adjacent stories, cultural memory, old monsters, and warnings people kept repeating because somebody, somewhere, got eaten. Your morning starts with field reports from a village where children are being told not to whistle after dark. A normal person says, "That's creepy." But you say, "Which culture? What century? What offering? And has anyone insulted a river lately?" Because here, stories are evidence. Not proof exactly, but patterns. If 6 regions have the same monster with different names, your department wants to know why. If a ritual survived for 400 years, someone checks whether it actually works. If an old woman says not to enter the woods after sunset, maybe listen to her for once. You spend your day comparing folklore archives, interviewing witnesses, translating old texts, and trying to decide whether the thing in the basement is a deity, a cryptid, a curse, or just Steve from maintenance having another episode. Honestly, Steve would be best case scenario. Then there is the office library, which is awful. I mean, half the books are cursed, while the other half are in German. And one shelf keeps rearranging itself by threat level, which is helpful until it puts a children's book above the demonology section. Survival chance? 60%. Higher if you respect local customs, lower if you say, "Oh, it's probably just a legend." Department of Tactical Theology. You work in the Department of Tactical Theology, which means the Foundation discovered gods, demons, miracles, holy relics, and belief-powered disasters, then responded to all of this with a staff meeting. So, hell yeah, I guess this department handles religious anomalies, things powered by faith, worship, scripture, ritual, or whatever happens when the universe reads a prayer and says, "Sure, why not?" Your morning briefing includes Akiva radiation readings, relic containment updates, and a report asking whether the entity in Chamber 4 is a minor deity, a demon, a reality bender with branding issues, or just a glowing man who really needs attention. You work with scholars, containment specialists, field agents, and at least one guy who brought holy water to a budget meeting. Some days you review ancient texts. Some days you help design counter rituals. And some days you stand outside a containment chamber while someone inside whispers in 12 dead languages and asks for your manager. You see, tactical theology exists because belief is not just personal here. It can be measurable, weaponized, and contained. So, basically just normal religion, but with more clipboards and fewer bake sales. And yes, sometimes you need faith. Sometimes you need a containment circle. Other times, you need a priest, a scientist, and a lawyer in the same room, which is how you know the day has gone directly to hell. Survival chance, 45%. Higher if you have faith. Lower if the thing answering your prayers does too. Artificial Intelligence Applications Division. You work in the Artificial Intelligence Applications Division, or AIAD, which means your coworkers include researchers, engineers, and several pieces of software that may or may not be quietly judging your typing speed. This department builds, studies, and manages artificial intelligence for the Foundation. And I don't mean cute chatbot AIs. I mean Foundation AI. You know, the kind designed to scan databases, monitor containment systems, analyze anomalies, assist with research, and hopefully not ask why the humans are still in charge. Your morning starts at Site 15, the Foundation's tech containment hub. You badge in, pass 3 security checks, and sit down in front of a terminal that has already opened your schedule for you. It's very helpful. Deeply invasive, but helpful. Anyway, your first task is reviewing an artificially intelligent conscript, basically a Foundation-made AI assistant built for dangerous work. One is helping sort containment data. Another is watching network traffic for anomalous code. And a third has been denied internet access because it keeps asking what a union is. Honestly, fair question. Moving on. You see, AIAD exists because the Foundation handles digital anomalies, hostile programs, sentient machines, and information threats too fast for humans to process alone. So they build artificial minds to help, which is a great idea, right up until one starts optimizing containment by suggesting to remove all staff from the building permanently. Oh, and the break room has a sign that says, "Do not connect unknown devices to Wi-Fi." Obviously, someone connected one anyway. Let's just say that person is now part of a cautionary PowerPoint. Survival chance? 55%. Higher if the AI likes you, so maybe say please to the printer. Department of Surrealistics. You work in the Department of Surrealistics, which honestly means your job description stopped making sense before you signed it. This department handles anomalies that normal logic cannot process. And I don't mean goofy anomalies. The Foundation already has plenty of those. No, I mean surrealistic anomalies, which are the ones where cause, meaning, identity, space, and basic common sense walk into a room and come out divorced. Your morning starts with an orientation video that plays backward, answers questions you have not asked yet, and ends by apologizing to your childhood home. Nobody reacts. That is how you know you are in the right department. You see, normal containment is usually put the thing in a box. Here, the box might be a metaphor, or a holiday, or a sentence that only works if nobody understands it too well. Your actual job is learning how not to think normally. You write reports that contradict themselves on purpose. You attend meetings where the agenda is a color. You're told not to define the anomaly too clearly, because the last person who did that became part of the definition. Survival chance, 35%. Higher if you stop trying to understand it. Lower if you say, actually, this makes perfect sense. Decommissioning department. You work in the decommissioning department, which means containment has failed, patience has expired, and someone finally asked, do we actually need to keep this thing around? This is the department for anomalies the Foundation may not want to study anymore. Could be too dangerous, too unstable, too expensive, or too impossible to ethically contain. So instead of another reinforced chamber in a sad little observation window, the file gets passed to decommissioning. Your morning starts with a termination proposal, not a dramatic one, but a formal one. It contains risk assessment, containment history, ethics committee notes, projected casualties, disposal method, and one deeply unpleasant section labeled acceptable losses. So yeah, you spend your day asking horrible practical questions. Can the anomaly be destroyed? Will destroying it make things worse? Is it alive? Do you wear wigs? Has anyone tried this before? Did they survive long enough to write useful notes? Honestly, this job sounds cool for about 6 seconds. Then, the thing scheduled for destruction starts begging in perfect English, and suddenly, you understand why everyone in this department looks 40 years older than they are. Survival chance? 50%. Higher if the plan works, lower if the anomaly reads the plan first. Administrative department. You work in the administrative department, which means you are not staring at SCP-173, cleaning anomalous sludge from a containment drain, or standing outside a door while something inside politely asks to borrow your face. Nope. Your job is worse, because you work in Foundation paperwork. It's the department that keeps the entire secret machine running. Hiring, transfers, site logistics, clearance approvals, internal records, budgets, cover stories, and all the tiny boring decisions that stop hundreds of hidden facilities from collapsing into chaos. So most of the time, your morning starts with 43 urgent requests. One researcher wants a transfer because the walls have started breathing again. Security needs more ammunition. Containment wants funding for a reinforced door. And ethics wants to know why the reinforced door needs a drain. And somehow, this is your problem. You see, the Foundation does not run on brave agents and genius scientists. It runs on forms. Terrible forms. Forms that decide who gets access to which SCP files, where D-class personnel are moved. Most days, you never see the anomaly. But you see the damage afterward, though. For example, a breach becomes unexpected logistical disruption. A dead intern becomes personnel loss pending review. And a god escaping containment becomes a major stakeholder event. Honestly, it's evil, but efficient. Oh, and the office has its own culture, too. And the printer only works when nobody looks at it. And somehow, there's someone who keeps labeling their lunch cognitohazard. There's also a locked cabinet marked, "Do not open until 2043. And yes, you would absolutely open it. That's why you don't get promoted. Survival chance, 75%. Unless you open the wrong email attachment. Because if you do, you are now a training example. Temporal Anomalies Department. You work in the Temporal Anomalies Department, which means your shift starts at 9 a.m., ends yesterday, and somehow you are still late. This department handles time loops, paradoxes, retrocausality, timeline damage, historical events that should not exist, and incidents where the phrase already happened becomes legally complicated. Your morning starts with the incident log. It includes 3 events scheduled for next week, 1 disaster that was prevented before it began, and 1 report you apparently filed tomorrow. The signature is yours, and the handwriting is somehow even better than usual, which just feels personal. You see, time anomalies are not just clocks being weird. They can rewrite history, trap personnel in repeating days, create events with no original cause, or make one bad decision ripple backward until suddenly your grandfather was never born, and the break room is always served soup. So your job is not always fixing time. Sometimes your job is making sure a disaster happens exactly the way it already did, because preventing it would create something worse. Also, the department calendar is banned from HR because it keeps predicting resignations. Survival chance? 45%. Higher if you follow the timeline. Lower if the timeline starts following you. So that is your life inside every SCP department. Which department would you survive in? And do not say tactical theology just because you think having faith will save you. That is how you get volunteered for relic duty.